Good morning, guys. Welcome to yet another YouTube video. We have this beautiful 1994 Mark IV Supra provided by Christoph. We're going to be doing some video rollers today and show you guys a little bit behind the scenes on how I set up my rig, how I film the actual rollers, and then maybe we'll get into a little bit of editing. So follow me inside. Let's go check it out.
Drop a link to the Super John shirt.
There is no link. I have set up here a little bit of what I'll be using today. Obviously, my rig is in there. We'll be unpacking that last. But I kind of just want to go over the things that I use for my rollers rig that help make my life a little bit easier. So number one, we'll start with my two DJI Action 4s. You don't need this at all. I just like to use it to film some behind the scenes, and that's really it. The next big thing I have is obviously going to be, let's go to my camera. I'm using a DJI RS4 Pro paired with a FX3 and a G Master 16-35. It's super important to have a wide angle lens, which is why I'm using the 16-35. It gives me a nice range of super wide shots to capture a whole car, truck, or bike, as well as zoom in on maybe, let's say, like a front wheel or a wing or whatever I want to capture that's a little detail that might look cool with some, visuals rolling by. The nice thing about the RS4 Pro is that it does have a car mount mode, which means there's a lot of micro jitters that you can get with a car mount. It helps alleviate it just a little bit. Let's look at the front of the camera. One of the most important things when you're doing rollers is making sure that your shutter speed stays at 1/60. And I know for some people you have to shoot at 30 frames per second because you're using a camera that can only shoot 4K 30. But for rollers, it's actually perfect. The number one most important thing really is having an ND filter. If you don't have an ND filter, you're gonna have to either bump your f-stop or bump your shutter speed. And bumping your shutter speed is gonna make things look a little bit, it's gonna have a little bit less motion blur is gonna be the gist of it. And you don't really wanna bump your f-stop more than, I'd say, like f8 to f10 when you're shooting anything like this, because the background will start to lose that bokeh and lose a little bit of that blur. So an ND/polarizer is the best thing. I'll have a link to this one. This is K&F. It's been amazing for me. A lot of people have issues when they go all the way out to like 16 millimeters on their lens. They'll have some weird like vignetting in the corners. This polarizer so far, I've had no issues with that, so I will definitely link this down below. I'm in love with this. Next thing you want is making sure that you have a good mic setup. Right now, I'm using these Ceramonic mics. I actually have one attached to me right now with the lav, but I will have an extra one attached to the rear bumper of the car, either attach it to probably the license plate on this car, honestly. But you can find little places to attach it. And then usually I'll have another one either in the engine bay or in the cabin to capture some interior sound. All right, let's move on to my monitor. So I'm using a Atomos Ninja 5 with a small rig external battery. This just gives me a little bit more battery life for if I'm filming rollers for maybe like an hour or two. I got the Ninja 5 because it allows me to record on this SSD. Most of you probably don't need this. Most of you could probably just record straight to the SD card in the camera. I like to have a secondary backup just in case the SD card corrupts, which actually just happened to me recently. I'm sorry, Ryan. We were shooting a 400Z and my SD card got corrupted, so that was a rip. Yeah, highly recommend having just some kind of monitor so that you can see it. A lot of people will use their phone. I don't recommend that, but if you need to, you can. Which leads me into my next piece, the Raven Eye that comes with the RS4 Pro. If you get the combo, it's called some kind of combo, it will come with the Raven Eye, and I don't know if you're gonna be able to see right there, but you can attach it to the bottom of this gimbal right here, and it will basically transfer the feed from the camera to your phone, and it'll allow you to like move the gimbal everywhere with your phone. There's like a little joystick on the screen and everything like that. It's actually really, really cool, and that's how I record a lot of my videos when I'm having to film rollers by myself. All you do is you can draw a box around your subject, so I'll draw it around the car, and then the gimbal will actually follow the car as you're driving. So it's really, really cool. But you definitely need that. And then this is a focus motor that comes with the DJI combo as well. I don't really use this that much, to be honest with you, but if you're gonna be changing focus while doing rollers or changing your focal length while doing rollers, this is really, really handy to have. This is the piece that actually will go on the lens when you're using the zoom feature. So what will happen is you put this on the lens. I just put it on there kind of loosely right now. And then what you'll do is you'll actually put this here, and you can control it by turning it like this. And it'll actually turn the zoom ring or the focus ring, whichever you want to use. So I'm not using that. I don't really need to, but just cool in case everybody wants to see it. This little piece will attach to my gimbal and will allow me to use the MovMax in control. So when you attach this, the MovMax will actually allow you to move the gimbal, and you can't adjust any settings, but it will allow you to record, start, stop, because there's a record button on the gimbal. So we'll get into that a little bit later. The last piece before we get into the actual rig itself is just gonna be this little, really just like a little safety clamp. That's pretty much all the external setup. Let's go ahead and set up the rig itself. We're gonna go ahead and set up the rig on the car. I did get a few questions on my questions poll, so we're gonna film the time that it takes to set up the actual rig itself, and then we're gonna kind of give you guys a couple more answers to your questions. Number one, assembly and any tips to make it quicker or more efficient, and then some safety measures behind it. So we'll get into that here in a little bit. Let's get started.
What safety measures?
I don't really use safety measures, but I'm gonna have to pretend I use safety measures. A clean surface, that's number one. So there's a lot of dew on the car. I'm gonna make sure that it's completely dry. If you have any moisture or any kind of dust underneath the suction cups when you're putting the rig on, it will leave marks in the paint, and you can compromise the actual suction of the pump itself. So make sure that your mounting surfaces are always perfectly clean. In this case, we're gonna be mounting 2 suction cups up here and 2 suction cups on here. That'll allow me to, if I need to, open this up and still have access to my trunk, because it all opens as one piece. So pretty cool, piece about the wagon, but if you have a car that'll do that, I highly recommend it. Oh. This is the MovMax Into Air Arm Mini or something like that. But basically this is like their mid-range car rig. They do have like the N2 arm, which is like $8,000, and it's got all the tubes and everything. It's super cool. And then their entry level is kind of, I think somewhere around like $2,000, and that's the Razor arm. I think that's really what most people need. I just wanted something a little bit beefier because I do shoot off-road sometimes. So this is like the perfect, in-between medium for me. Go to MovMax's Instagram or website, and they'll be able to help you out kind of figuring out which one is best for you. Take all of these out because I need to get to these 2 guys down here. I'm gonna go ahead and grab 2 suction cups. And what I like to do is make sure that they're spaced out. So I'll go 1 dot over here, and then on the other side, before you tighten this one down, make sure that you put this on, because you will not be able to slide this on with it on. I like to put it somewhere in the middle, which is in between the M here and the 2 here. Like I said, just 1 click off the edge. That'll give you as wide a base as possible. And then you can adjust these later. I do like to have them a little bit higher. That way it gives me a little bit more space away from the paint. Find a flat surface on your car, and then you'll see these little red lines. Just make sure as you're suctioning it down, you'll kind of feel the edges start to feel around, and then just make sure that this red line right here is gone. So I'm going to keep pressing it. Like, this is such a cool spot, and it's my house. What the freak? We'll do this next piece, and this is why I said to make sure that you get these out first, because if you don't, you'll put your suction cups on and then realize that you can't get to them. So, all right, so there's 2 ways to mount your rig. Number one is to mount it as like an upper triangle, and then the other way to mount it is a lower triangle. And what I mean by that is you're gonna have 3 pieces. You're gonna have this piece as your base, you're gonna have a piece that will hold the actual arm, and then you'll have a piece coming from here up to that tall piece, and that'll basically hold it in place so that it's not like flopping around basically. So it's gonna form a triangle. You can do it 2 ways. You can do it like that, or you can put this kind of on the side or like straight down the back, and then form like just a like right angle, and your car will basically be the 3rd arm. Because I'm gonna be putting this on the front of the car as well, I am gonna put it up like this. So I'm gonna make an upper triangle instead of a lower triangle. Basically, I won't be able to mount the camera as low as I would if I was putting it on the back of the car, but it will allow me to put it on the front of the car without having to change anything. So for me, the ease of doing that outweighs the benefits of having those lower shots. And if I need to get those lower shots, I'll get them when the rig is on the front of the car because it'll be on the hood. So it's gonna already be low mounted basically. So I'll get my low shots that I need there. Does that make sense? What I just explained? Okay, just wanna make sure. It makes sense in my head, but I wanna make sure it's making sense to my viewer. So this is what I mean by making sure that these are lengthened. As you can see, this one's lengthened and it is reaching. This one is not lengthened and it's not reaching the glass. So you can just unscrew these until the suction cup reaches. Make sure that it does have suction, which it does. I feel it.
You feel the suction?
Dude, as soon as I said that, I was just like, ah. Now, I will say MovMax did just release some electronic suction cups, which is really nice. I might get those. Or MovMax, if you want to send them to me, that'd be cool too. So this is what I'm talking about with that triangle. I have the back plate on, and then this plate will be for the actual rig itself. Just gonna bring this down. And the point is to make sure that this is perpendicular with the road. Obviously right now we're on a bit of a hill, so I may have to adjust this later, but right now it is perpendicular with the driveway. So I'm gonna leave it as is. If I need to make any changes, I can. Make this quick speed. I'm just like yapping. This dude won't shut up.
You can make that into a reel.
That'd be so funny.
Guys, go watch my new YouTube video and put it in 1 minute. Just full speed. In 1 minute.
Don't worry guys, I have captions. The captions are just funny. I'm making sure that all of my little levers are tightened down. All good, all good, all good, all good. There are 2 on the inside here, so I'll always make sure that you do those. On the inside here, make sure you do those. All right, so this rig is not going anywhere. It is now time for the arm. Hello. There we go. One of the most important parts is the V-mount battery. This is what's gonna power your rollers rig. I use the small rig 99 watt. It's like 130 bucks, but it'll last me 5, 6, 7, 8 hours of rollers. So it's perfect for what I need.
Or until it falls off.
Yeah, we did have one of these fall off because I think I didn't click it in all the way. And we literally filmed rollers for like three hours, I think. And then like we were literally pulling into my neighborhood and it fell off and shattered into a million pieces. It was so sad. And then I bought it for $160 and then literally the next day it was on sale for like $100. Dude. Okay, so this is clicked in. I'm making sure that it's clipped in. I'm gonna go ahead and tighten this down. Just so MovMax and small rig know, it is clipped in, as you can tell here. See, it's not going anywhere. We are currently probably like 11, 12 minutes into it. I am taking my time with this, but that just goes to show you how quickly you're able to do this setup. It literally takes like 15 minutes or less. I have this one last piece. This is gonna be your dampening system. It's on there pretty tight. You can throw an Allen key in there and tighten it down, but for the most part, you usually don't need to. That's connected. You wanna make sure that there's nothing interfering when you're going up and down here. So let's go ahead and plug in. There's that. It's connected to the D-tap. And it will come with all of these wires and everything, so you don't need to purchase these separately. I think Drew, Shot by Drew, is the one who commented this, but he was asking about safety precautions that I use. This actually comes with the MovMax. I'll come here. This will slide into that M4 piece, and then you have a screw that'll actually go in here. There's that. So now you have no fear, even if this unlocks, your camera and your gimbal won't drop off of this star piece here. So ideally you want to make sure that your ratchet strap is all flat and everything. There's a little bit of twisting there, but I don't really care. Like I was saying, make sure that there's no twists in it. There we go. Okay. Tighten it down as much as possible. And there's a little release right here. I definitely did it backwards, but it's okay. And then you just ratchet it down. It doesn't need to be super tight, just to make sure that this stops from messing about.
Messing Messing about.
Testing that we have power. There we go. Alrighty, now with the RS4 Pro, if you want to come take a look over here, there is a car mount option right here. So I'm going to click that and click start calibration. It'll do some funky stuff and it will be calibrated. I'll probably do it again because I have to plug in the HDMI cable, but that's the rig itself. So basically 15 minutes. I did take my time with it, took a couple of breaks. So I'd say more or less 15 minutes to set up if you're taking your time. You could probably get it done in 10 if you're on a time crunch. But the best thing about this wagon is that my rig will actually fit as it's all set up in the back of the wagon. So I just leave it set up and I just throw it in the back of the wagon and it saves me 15 minutes every time I go shoot. Next up, we're gonna move to the interior. All right, welcome to my humble abode. It's so clean, look, I cleaned it. Look at the dash.
Oh, you did?
Open this because I'm gonna feed my HDMI cable through my sunroof here. I'm gonna set up my monitor first. So I have my small rig suction cup here. That's good. Got my small rig mini arm, mini magic arm, whatever it's called. All right, and then that'll go right here. There we go. All right, and then tighten this one down. There we go. My MovMax in control will plug in to my power here. You do need to have an external power source for the MovMax. It doesn't have any batteries in it, so I just plug it into the USB. Most cars have it, so you should be good. And then I'll plug into my monitor here. All right, now we got to feed this through my sunroof. You don't want too much slack, but do give yourself a little bit of slack so that you can turn your camera and everything. All right, so now it is all set up weight-wise, so I'm just gonna let it calibrate one more time, and it should be good to go. I'm using my Creators app, and I have my Sony FX3 connected via Bluetooth. Also, I have my FX3 connected to my gimbal via Bluetooth. I don't have any wires. It just makes things a little less messy. So if you can do it, make sure that you do have it Bluetoothed. I'm gonna go to remote shooting. Let's say checking camera response, checking camera status, click join.
5 hours later.
It'll show me the shutter speed, the ISO, the f-stop. I can change my Kelvin, which is my white balance, and then a couple other things. So I'm able to change, actually, if I go to the menu, I'm able to actually change like all my frame rate and stuff like that. Like I could shoot this in 120, half of it, and then, you know, midway through my shooting, I can change it back. You can shoot your, you know, record settings. Basically everything that you need from your camera menu, you can do it on your phone. So very, very helpful to have. Highly recommend that you use the Creators app while you're filming. Should be about it. So I think we're gonna get some rollers going. Let's get into it. Dude, look at that, the car seat in the back.
Hey, yo, in a Supra.
That's awesome. Here, real quick. Okay, polarization is good, ND is good. And then if I need to, I can always adjust my lighting a little bit more with my f-stop through here. So let's get on the road. The best things about having a rollers rig is that you don't really have to worry about police officers too much, at least in the United States, because this is pretty much legal. It beats hanging out of a car. Even if you're strapped in, sometimes a police officer will pull you over for not having like a seatbelt, like an actual seatbelt on, or not being in your like actual seat. This is one of the biggest reasons why I always advocate for car rigs. I don't ever do rollers on the interstate really. I usually do back roads, but because we are going up to Red Top, I am just doing some rollers on the interstate right now. So if you can stay off the interstate when you're doing rollers, you'll get much better scenery in the background. You'll see you're closer to the trees, so it looks like it's moving faster, all that kind of stuff. But if you don't have a choice, then I would really highly recommend that you get a rig if you can afford it. Yeah, that's really pretty. Yeah, the sun coming through. Oh man. All right guys, one of the questions that I had was how do I control the rig while I'm driving? Right now I have Carter driving for me, but if I am trying to film anything while I'm a solo driver or Aubrey's not here or something like that, what I'll do is I'll have my in control MovMax controller just on the side, and then I'll actually use my Raven Eye that comes with the DJI. So that's the only like way to like do it, track it, and then it'll do it itself. I kind of mentioned that earlier, but if y'all have any more questions about that, just let me know. We're going on a road right now that's facing north, and that allows me to, when I'm shooting sideways, it's technically, I can face east or west. So whichever way my sunlight is, I can kind of change the look of the camera based on that. So you'll go down one way and you'll shoot to the right, then you'll turn around and you'll shoot to the left. So you get both sides of the car. But you don't want to be on a road that's facing east and west, because if you do that, then you're either going to have the sun directly in your face or the sun directly like on the car, and it doesn't really look that good.
Get the cat.
Very nice. Something that I didn't mention is if you look here, as you can see what I was talking about, it's not directly perpendicular, but it's close enough. The thing that you want to look for is to make sure that this is level. You see how this is level with the horizon, and when I push it down, it comes back to be level. That means that you have the correct rebound and the correct compression. And those are the two most important things to help you with the big bumps that you're gonna hit, as well as the micro jitters. So you wanna have a really good balance. And it's gonna take a while to kind of figure out what works for you, and it's gonna depend on how heavy your setup is, what kind of roads you're gonna be on and stuff like that. So it's gonna be different for every person. I can't give you like, this is the 100% formula, but I can kind of give you a step in the right direction. So hopefully that helps. All right. I'm gonna go ahead and unplug my HDMI cable just so it doesn't get caught on anything. And then I definitely recommend two people with this. I'm jacked, so I can do it by myself, but.
All right.
All right, now when you're putting your suction cups on, you're gonna have lines in your hood or dimples in your hood or whatever you may have. So make sure that your suction cups are on a flat surface, like so. And then you can kind of see the rear suction cups are gonna get caught on the body lines of the hood. What I'll do is I'll actually just move these to the middle, to the flat spot. So do this real quick. All right, you can see the suction cup is not reaching the hood. All you gotta do is just undo these a little bit, and it gives it just a little bit more angle to reach. To drop these a little bit so that the whole rig can go a little bit lower. I can get my low shots now because we've mounted the physical rig so much lower. So let me get the HDMI cable plugged in and we will hit the road. Man, that was goated. I literally just got the perfect length. Before I ratchet this down, I'm gonna make sure that this is parallel, like that. Wow, I actually slammed into place perfectly, so don't do that at home. Safety is my #1 priority, guys. Guys, I'm probably the safest roller driver out here. Cool. This is not going anywhere. As you can see, some of the suction cups, the red lines are back out again. So before you get on the road, just make sure that those are tucked back in there. Move the rig around a little bit, make sure that the red lines don't come up. We are good to go. 3's enough. cinematic, so I hope you guys enjoyed. The rollers were super amazing. We'll probably have a minute or two of rollers, just cinematic. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed that. I think Christoph has to take off here. Huge thank you to him for bringing out the car. He has a kid and a life unlike us, so he's very busy. I appreciate him taking time out of his day. Go check him out. I'll link him in the description below, and you'll see him on Instagram. He has a cool Supra, and he's gonna be building it and putting lots of money into it, right? Boom. Dadgum, dude. Dadgum, son. It's easier than trying to take off that adapter and everything because I don't feel like doing all that right now. So it's easier to just unscrew it, call it a day. Plus, it allows me to take this and simply we gotta stop the timer, hold on. Time is 2 minutes and 30 seconds, including me yapping for 30 seconds. So 2 minutes to take it down. Obviously, I have to put everything away when I get back home, but I actually usually just leave this in my trunk because I'm constantly doing rollers.
That sounds so good.
Dude, people are interrupting my video. So Drew had another question. He said, what is your filming process and like your order of shoots? Usually I start, if I'm doing a sunset shoot, I'll start by filming the B-roll at a still location first, and then I'll swap over to doing rollers, and then I'll finish up with a little bit more B-roll. So I try to shoot about 30 to 45 minutes of still B-roll. Then once you get about 30 minutes away from sunset, like let's say sunset's at 7 o'clock, at 6:30 I'll start doing the rollers. That'll give you the really nice lighting. You don't have to worry about like super harsh lighting, because when you're doing rollers you have less control over the lighting than if you're doing stills. Like if I'm doing stills, there's a bunch of, if you look around like here, it's very bright over there, right? And then very shaded to the right a little bit more. So you can kind of put the car where you need to, and you can control the lighting a little bit. But when you're doing rollers, you're kind of up to the mercy of, you know, whatever environment you're in. It's better if you have less lighting because it's easier to control it. Once you're done with the rollers, I'll go back to my still spot, find an open spot where you can see the sunset or sunrise. So I would not use like this spot, I would not use for post sunset shots because it's a little mountainous around and there's a lot of trees. I would try to find somewhere flat or somewhere that's high up so that you can see the sunset a little bit better. That's my film process. I'll do the editing process another day. Eddie said, did you enjoy playing with Legos as a kid? I did, yes. I still do, yes. Gabe A. Sosa asks, is there any way to control your ND remotely? Unfortunately, there's no way to remotely control ND. What I do is I set my exposure as close as I can get it to like where it would be in the middle, and I'll set my f-stop to about 6. That'll allow me to, if it gets too bright, I can darken it a little bit to like f10, and then if it gets too dark, I can brighten it a little bit to like f3.2. So you kind of play with your f-stop when you have something like that happen. Gerard Amoyo, that guy, what a goofball. He says, have you done any chase / high-speed filming with the setup? Gerard knows better than that. I have. I just did. I've done some high-speed filming. I think I was using the Supra, and we were doing about, in Mexico, 100-something miles an hour with the rig on, and it was doing perfectly fine. So it can definitely be a little bit challenging to when you're going faster, to deal with the wind, because you'll get a little bit more of the jitters, but you can make it work, especially if the rig's on the back. It's almost like it's not even there. So, all right, last question. Solus Imagery asked, how were your first days when you first started filming rollers? I actually didn't start filming video rollers until probably 2 years ago, but I did start filming photo rollers about 4 years ago. When I started, I didn't really understand the concepts of rolling photography for about 6 months. But basically you want to have your shutter speed to be as low as possible, which I know with video you really can't go below 30 frames per second. But with photos, I'll go all the way down to like 1/13, sometimes like 1/5 or something like that if I'm doing some slower speeds. It's really difficult to dial it in because it's not just about settings. Like, you as a person have to have really good camera control. You have to have very steady hands, and you have to, if you're going to be like hanging out of a car or something like that, you have to understand like how to brace yourself correctly so that you don't have so much body movement when you're shooting. I would recommend, if you're doing photos, starting out at about like 1/60 and then work your way down to maybe 1/30. Get used to that and then work your way down from there. It took me about 2 years shooting at 1/30 to be able to drop down to like 1/15, 1/20 kind of thing. If you're gonna be doing video rollers, I would say just shoot at 1/60, shoot at 30 frames per second. You have that 180-degree rule. I'd say for 90% of the time I follow it. There's some times where if I'm shooting 120, I might have to go to like 1/125 instead of 1/240, yeah. So sometimes if you go lower than the 180-degree shutter rule, it's okay. You just gotta do what you gotta do. Just get the shot, make it happen, make it look good. That's number one, forget the rule. Just be consistent, work at it, and figure out what works best for you, because what works for me might not work for you. You're gonna have a different car than me, you're gonna have a different setup than me, you're gonna have a different camera and gimbal than me. It's gonna be different for everybody, but just figure out what works for you. It took me 6 months to figure out what works for me, and it's been 6 years and it's been working perfectly fine. Well, we've made it back home. We are gonna go ahead and kind of do a quote unquote teardown. I don't really do teardowns much. I'm just gonna leave this piece, which is just like the suction cups and everything. I'm gonna leave that in the car because I'm actually gonna be doing rollers a little later today. So all I'm gonna do is I'm gonna disconnect my my gimbal and my camera from my star mount. I think MovMax calls it a star mount, but I'm just gonna toss this in the trunk with the rest of my rollers rig, and that'll all be ready for when I have to do rollers later today. It's all about efficiency. So let's go inside and I'll kind of show you guys the rest of my teardown. We're just kind of putting everything back away. Like I mentioned earlier, I try as much as possible to only tear, like while I'm shooting, only tear down like half my stuff, kind of sorta, so that if I need to throw something back on the rig or if I need to throw the rig back on the car afterward, it's easy for me to just kind of throw it on there and call it a day. But at the end of the day like this, I go ahead and tear down everything, put everything away back in its drawers. Being organized is probably the number one thing I could recommend to you in making your videography and photography life easier. If you have drawers for everything, like this is a drawer just for my roller stuff. I have a drawer upstairs for all of my batteries. I have a spot where I have all my chargers and everything, so I know where everything is. I'm not scrambling at, last second for shoots and stuff. So I would really just encourage you to be on top of things when you're talking about preparation, because honestly, preparation is 50% of it, if we're being honest. So well, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I think we're gonna end it here. I'm gonna finish putting everything away, go ahead and download stuff. I may do a behind the scenes video on how I do my photos. I guess we didn't do any photos today, but how I did my videos. Maybe some color grading in DaVinci or something like that if you're interested. I'm still learning DaVinci, honestly. I'm not 100% on it yet, but I'm having fun with it. So if you're curious on learning with me, then I'll definitely do something like that. But I think we're gonna call it wraps there. Hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know what you want to see in the next video. Huge thank you to Christoph and thank you to Carter. Here, let's show Carter. Let's say thank you, Carter. Thank you, Carter.
Thank you.
You're so awkward. All right, guys. I'll see you later. Peace out.
Subscribe. Like and subscribe.